Well, Steve. Hello, everybody. It's me with the incredible, going the wrong way, Daniel Priestley. Yes. So, going to try not to fangirl too much over you today, Daniel, although I have read every single one of your books. I've been to see you talk live numerous times. I'm in all your groups, and I'm a massive fan of ScoreApp. So there you go. There's my fangirling done. Woo! But I know you, and I've followed you for years. I think the first thing I read was The Entrepreneur Revolution, and I was kind of like, oh, here we go. This makes sense. And then I think I went on to Key Person of Influence, oversubscribed, maybe not in that order, 24 Assets. And
You've read them all.
I've read them all. And I've also just downloaded the updated version so I can read.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, what I love about all the stuff, and particularly when you talk on stage, is that it's all just really actionable stuff that solves the problems and answers the questions that's in my head, rather than a lot of bluff and bluster that we see, obviously, in the online space generally. So I know that your company's helped thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs in a million different ways, but today we wanted to talk about ScoreApp specifically.
Yeah, lead generation.
Lead gen, because as you all know, if you're in my world, is that I talk a lot about lead gen and getting inquiries through LinkedIn and about being present and using Facebook and Facebook ads and all that stuff. But for me, lead gen and lead qualification is the thing about getting leads is great, but getting leads through a process so that you then self-select so you can help them. It's just brilliant. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about Scorecard and what it is and what it does, of course. But you're telling me some facts and figures before. So 75,000 Scorecard has been made?
Well, the background of ScoreApp is, let me give you some backstory of ScoreApp. So I was running events all over the world. We were running events in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Singapore, London, Birmingham, Tampa, Florida, Toronto, all these different actual live events we were running. And I became aware of the fact that we were broadcasting a lot of our message to people. We were producing a lot of content. So 4 best-selling books, 100 podcast episodes. It was broadcast. But what was missing was a way of completing the loop and having people signal that they're interested and basically have someone say, hey, this is who I am. This is about my business, my problem. And then for my business to be able to respond to that. So we were sending signals out to the marketplace, but we had no way of collecting signals back. And what I did is created something called the Key Person of Influence Scorecard, which was 30 or 40 questions. People, I mean, it's when I say was, it still is. 30 or 40 questions. People benchmark themselves. Are you a key person of influence? They answer the questions. They get an overall score and then a score for all the different categories of becoming a key person of influence. Most people read the book and then fill in the scorecard, or they listen to a podcast and then fill in the scorecard. So what happened is that we generated 75,000 very warm leads off the back of that. 75,000 people filled in the scorecard. And that basically filled up all of our pipeline. We knew exactly who to talk to based on how they answered the questions. We knew who was too advanced, who was too early in their journey. So we just tuned in on that Goldilocks zone, and made a lot of sales. Made well over 10 million pounds worth of sales just from that system. So it cost £8,000 to develop, and it generated 10 million pounds worth of sales.
I mean, that's wild, right? And
pretty wild.
What you do is you create something and it's so fantastic. You then went on to develop it and brought it out for your audience, I presume, initially, and it's gone out.
Yeah, basically people said, I want one of those. So I had a lot of clients saying that was really smart, the way that you asked me those questions and then talked to me about the things that I said I was needing. So we created a platform called ScoreApp. Essentially, it was just that when I told people it cost £8,000 to develop it, most people said, oh, that sounds great, but I don't have a spare £8,000 lying around. Yeah. And we said, great, let's create a platform that was either free for a trial or next to free to run day to day. So £29 a month is what most people pay, and then it just generates lots and lots of leads, warm leads, qualified leads every single month. So we now have 1,600 people using the platform. We generate thousands of leads for them every single day. Our clients are generating, on average, I think it's 233 leads a month is the average client, is how much is coming in. And they're not just any leads. They're not name and email address. They are name, email, and 40 or 50 things about that person. So it's a hugely qualified lead.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's all about is the follow-up. So I remember reading KPI, filling in the scorecard, and somebody from Dan ringing me up. And I remember I was on a train, and I was just like, wow. I just felt like, wow.
It's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it was just like a very, very well-oiled machine for sure. But the conversation is so much more than, hi, we've got your details. It's like, I know all this stuff about you, basically.
Yeah.
I can go through the report and I can talk to you about stuff, which I think is the difference.
So we train our team for the follow-up to do something that we call the seesaw. The seesaw is to talk about the thing you scored highest at and the thing you scored lowest at. So let's say I ring you up. I'd say, Helen, I saw your key person of influence score. You scored really, really high for pitching. You got a 9 out of 10 for pitching. But your weakest score was partnerships, which was only a 4 out of 10. Are you interested in improving that one? Now, people always say, yeah, of course I am. And we say, great, here's what we can do. We can either get you booked into a live event with a group of people, group of entrepreneurs, or you can jump on a one-to-one with one of our coaches. Which would you prefer? And people like, they pick an option. But it's amazing how quick that conversion happens based upon data, being able to talk about the people's actual needs.
Nice. So you go with the seesaw. So we go with the positive thing and then the lower thing.
Yeah, here's what you did well at, here's what you did bad at.
And then you give them 2 options. Do you want the next free thing, or do you want the thing which is obviously gonna lead to a paid thing? Oh, I love this.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I teach and I talk about visibility a lot and about how to show up and how to grow your audience, how to be consistent and all that kind of stuff. It's what happens next. And I think having for us, for our personal, from my point of view, I've always been in that, for the last few years in that kind of launch thing of like, big launches every sort of quarter and that kind of stuff. And I want to move away from that. I got really burnt out with it, and it was fun and it's exciting and all the rest of it. But for me, I was looking for something that would give me qualified leads regularly, just off me showing up. And that's what I feel like this is. Yeah, it's great.
A steady stream of warm leads. So I'll give you another example, which is an interesting one. One of our clients has a dating business, and it's like I think it's called Elite Dating, or it is about elite dating, and it's about people who are very successful professionals finding a successful person to go date, right? So you want to date someone who has a great career and who's who's kind of in that upper zone, I guess. Now they have this website, and it's all about elite dating and finding the right partner and how to find the right people. And they were getting something like 6,000 to 8,000 people a month visiting the website, but completely anonymous. So all they can see is on the WordPress website. They can see on the back end how many people visited the site. And it's like, okay, we're getting 6,000 to 8,000 a month, but we don't know who they are. So they put onto the website a little pop-up that says, are you elite dating material? Take the scorecard and get your elite dating score. And everyone's like, oh, I wonder if I am am I an elite dating person? Right. So everyone's curious. Well, not everyone's curious, but 6 to 8 people a day are now filling in the scorecard. So they had all this anonymous traffic, and now they're getting these leads coming in, and people are taking the scorecard and filling in their details. Now, what's interesting is that the typical customer, I think, spends $5,000 with them, and they close about 1 in 5 to 1 in 10. So they're doing about $5,000 a day of new business based on just simply having a scorecard sitting on the website. So really interesting example. Another interesting example is one of our clients in Canada creates these things called bunkies, which are cabins in the woods. You basically build your own cabin in the woods. You build it, you take it up as a kit, you carry it into the woods, and then you build it. And there's a little bit to it. You need to kind of know how to do it and plan it, and you've got to have some building skills. So there's basically they do this thing called "Are you ready for the bunkie life?" And it's a question set of questions that basically figure out whether you are going to be able to build this thing and enjoy this thing. So
hard no for me.
you'd be surprised. So, I mean, one of the questions is, can you delegate? Right?
Yeah,
can you get
a team of Sherpas with me? Then maybe
get someone else to do it. So they've doubled revenue from 3.5 million to 7 million in 1 year, and huge number of the sales now come through the scorecard, because essentially the scorecard fills in the gaps that people had a fear of not being able to know whether they should do this and whether they'd be able to do this. Like you immediately said, that's a no from me. But if you answer the questions, you might actually discover that, oh, you're a 76%. You just need a little bit of support, a little bit of help, and you'll be fine. So the scorecard allowed them to kind of close in on what was stopping people, answer the objection, send people a piece of content that shows them what they're missing. And yeah, they doubled their revenues from 3.5 to 7 million. Nice. And they got an offer from the Dragon's Den for $1 million worth of investment, which was pretty wild as well. But it was basically because they could show the data. They could show so much data.
Exactly. This is it. So it's all, when you talk about growth and conversion, you've got to have a conversion mechanism. And I think and what I do love about it as well is it's so user friendly, and that's coming from me. I am not techie at all. And even I can drag and drop things about and make it look nice. And also you can tweak it almost in real time, can't you?
Yeah, totally. You just write your questions. You can change the way each question is scored. So one of the ways it works, there's a few elements that you have to get right. So element number one is you've got to come up with some questions. And basically you have to come up with questions. So like, for example, if we said, do you have a top level LinkedIn profile? Answer the question. So you might say, do you have a current professional headshot? That's a question. And we might give that 2 points. You might say, have you had a third-party person proofread your bio for mistakes and grammar? That might just be 1 point. Have you had a professional, have you written a blog in the last 3 weeks, a blog or an article, right? Mm-hmm. That might be 3 points. Has it been more than 6 months since you updated your profile? It could be like -5 points if it's been that long. So you can basically write some questions and come up with a score next to each questions. Some people like give yeses, like a strong yes might be 10 points, and some questions might be 5 points. Some people do 1, 2, or 3 points, or -1, -2, -3 points. So you can just come up with a basic scoring logic. What you then need to do is have a landing page that, which is all templated, that tells people why they should take the scorecard in the first place. So you normally need to be able to say, if you take this scorecard, it's going to help you to improve your LinkedIn profile, or it's going to help you to get more X, Y, and Z, or it's going to help you prevent this loss. It'll help you basically get something that you already want or avoid something you don't want, right? So that needs to be nice and clear, the value proposition on a page. And we have templates for that. Yeah, and then the final part is to create the result page. And the result page is basically, what do people see once they've filled in the score, which is where it presents them with the score, and it tells them what to do based on their score. So what the software asks you to do is to create what's called scoring tiers, low, medium, and high. And then it says, what content do you want to display for low, for medium, for high? So if someone scores really high for their LinkedIn profile, it's like, congratulations, you've got a high score, keep up the good work. If they score low, unfortunately, you scored pretty low. That means, don't be sad. That means there's lots of room for improvement. So you can have a different call to action based upon how people score.
And a different follow-up for different people and how they score.
Follow-up. Yeah, you don't want to talk to someone who gets like a high score and say, oh, you really need to improve. It's like, you want to pick up the phone and say, congratulations, you are one of the very few people who scored so highly. Can we help you go from strength to strength? We think you could go from good to great. You're already doing really, really well. Let's help you to maintain that asset. So that would be a very different conversation to someone who scores a 1 out of 10.
Yeah. And also you can ask a bold question, right? We ask, how much are you willing to invest, and how much have you invested in the last 6 to 12 months? and, let people self-select and just say, there's just no way. And we can direct people to free resources, and we can help people at every single level of that question as well. So really, really interesting data, which was massively a missing piece. I'm almost like, I wish I'd had it for the last 5 years, but the best time to start is always now, really. So we have developed, I think, do you get 5 with the package that we're on? 5 or 6?
Yeah, it's about right. Yep.
Yeah.
5
so
different
we
scorecards.
on our package, we have one for LinkedIn, we have one for 5M, so the mindset stuff, and we have one for business mastermind, and we now are writing one for corporate, because they're just different people, different language, different everything. So it's just amazing to see how they all fit together.
I like what you've done there too. You've thrown into the mix what I call a cheeky question. So if you're asking someone 20 or 30 questions in a scorecard quiz, you've totally got room to ask a couple of cheeky questions that people, because it's a computer system and asking, they just answer it. So for example, how much do you invest in personal development training and support? Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. So people can click. Or you might say, how many people work alongside you in your company? It's just me. Team of 2 to 10, team of 10 to 50, team of 50 to 250, 250 plus. So you can very quickly just throw some questions in there, multiple choice, and really qualify people so that when you pick up the phone and talk to them, you already know they're a corporate, you already know that they're a solo entrepreneur. So you've got the data in front of you to have that conversation.
Yeah. So what we're doing with ours now, the new one, which is for the 5M, which is my 5 principles of business mindset. So they fill in the scorecard, and then the call to action is to come to the free masterclass that we're doing at the end of the month. Then at the masterclass, I'm going to get them to redo it, and then the call to action is to book a call. Is that right? Or is that too convoluted?
No, that's simple. If people fill in a scorecard, typically I always think there's 3 options after someone fills in a scorecard. It's either I want more content, but I want it to be anonymous, right? So I want to listen to a podcast or watch a video. I want to do something that's one to group, so a workshop, or I really want to just talk about someone about doing the work and someone just doing it for me. So there tends to be a situation that different buyers either want to throw time at a problem or money at a problem or somewhere in between. So when a certain buyer has more money than time, they throw money at the problem and they really want something that doesn't involve their time. If someone has more time than money, they want to throw time at the problem, but they don't want to throw money at the problem. So what you want to do is figure that out using the questions in the scorecard, and then you can have what's called a customized call to action. So the custom call to action is based upon different questions that they've answered and how they've scored. And that final call to action is essentially, let's say in your questions, that this particular type of person is a person who's got more money than time. So you basically want to say, let us improve this for you. It won't take much of your time. Our team can do this for you. Book a time for us to get started, right? And it's like, yep, go. Let's get this going. Or if the way they answered the question alludes to the fact that they don't have a lot of money and they've got a lot of time, it's like they're going to want content. They're going to want a checklist. They're going to want like an online do-it-yourself program. So just make sure that's the key suggestion.
Yeah, it's just so clever. And the more you look at it, the better it gets, I think. Like the more we delve into it, the better we get. And I'm obsessively telling the world about it at the moment. And everyone, because I've not met anybody yet, and I don't know if you have, Daniel, that I've thought scorecard's not for you. I've not met anybody.
There's very, very few. People always ask me, who does it not work for? Like even at the moment, even people who sell B2C, like physical products, there are people now taking quizzes to say, should you, like, for example, go to a lot of skincare product websites. They've all got a quiz now. What kind of skin do you have? Which products should you get for your type of skin care routine? There's actually a lot of these websites have got a scorecard, a quiz on there. I'm seeing fashion websites, which look would be best for you. They ask you a series of questions. Do you prefer this or this? So that's an image one. So do you like this look or this look? Do you like this look or this look? You answer 5 or 6 of those and it pulls you across to, you are a goth chick. Here's all the goth wardrobe.
Yeah, I actually did one of those for skin, for buying foundation. Like, I answered about, I don't know, 15 questions, and it was like, this is your perfect foundation. It's like, oh, thank goodness, I don't have to do that. And you know what I mean? I don't have to look through. It's because 10 years ago, nobody would have bought foundation online, because you need to look at it, put it on the back of your hand and be in boots and all that kind of stuff. Whereas now they ask you, does your skin go this color or that color? Do you tan easily? Do you burn easily? What you color your eyes and your hair? And then it just says, this is gives you one option. And you buy it. And you buy it again and again and again, and it is perfect.
So here's the best case scenario though. So that is working, but the best case for anyone who's a coach, a consultant, a service provider, professional services, the scorecard is a dream for a couple of reasons. Number one, it makes something that's very intangible tangible. So let's say you're a life coach. If someone says, I'm thinking about hiring you as a life coach, how are you going to help me? And you go, well, I could help you with relationships. I could help you with fitness. I could help you with goals and clarity. And you kind of like throw all this stuff out. And they're like, oh, okay, not quite sure. Or you could say, take the scorecard, right? Let's actually have a look at your wheel of life. So they answer a series of 30 or 40 questions. And then suddenly that intangible, I'm not quite sure what this is going to do for me, becomes very tangible. Now I have a report. The other thing that's really powerful with scorecards is the ability to show how far a customer has come. So if you get someone to fill a scorecard, in fact, I'll give you a real life example. One of our clients worked with the NHS. They had 700 employees in a particular division, and they were complaining about stress at work, anxiety, burnout, all of these kind of things. So what they wanted to do is be able to pinpoint what's going on and how are people feeling about work, and how, like, for example, questions like, do you ever have days where you feel like you want to resign? Do you have all of that sort of stuff. So they basically, on day one of the piece of work, they got 700 people to fill in the scorecard, and they completed this, and the average overall score was like 19%. As far as 100% was, I love my job and I don't ever think about quitting, and 0 is like, I'm out of here. So like the average was less than 20. And then they did a 3-month intervention, and they got the average up above 65. So they were able to show exactly, on average on day one, this is how people felt on day one. And then 3 months later, this is where we've gotten to. And it was pretty transformational. They rebooked the program. They were able to show their superiors. They were able to show other departments within the NHS how much had changed. So it was really, really cool. We used the data, the overall data, so you can see people as individuals, or you can actually have a look at the overall data. So you could actually see, out of the 700 people, 63% said no to this question, 22% said yes to this question. So there's all of that kind of cool stuff behind the scenes.
So important. Well, it's because it's a tangible thing. So a lot of people who go into companies to do trainings, that what you normally get, a sheet of paper where you put a smiley face or a sad face. I mean, it's nonsense, right? Everyone just wants to get out of there and done. But so for me,
how's this relevant? How's this relevant to me?
Yeah. So for me, going in to do, say, LinkedIn training, you could scorecard people, the team, if you like, before, and then you can scorecard them 6 weeks after. And, it becomes very tangible and easy to resell once you've got case studies then. Yeah.
Totally. And you're not going to have that person sitting there going, oh, I know everything. It's like, you don't know everything. You scored 21%. Like, you've got plenty of room to grow.
What is the human fascination with taking quizzes? I mean, I know we have things like, what kind of potato are you? But right from my childhood, when, you used to do the quizzes in the magazines and stuff, what is our fascination with?
There's a couple of reasons that we like to do it. We love to bounce things from the left brain to the right brain and back again. So we love, for example, we love when data becomes a story, and we love when a story becomes data. So for example, if I have a general feeling that something's not right, but I can't put my finger on it, I love anything that helps me to pin it down as to why that's happening. So that's when a story becomes data. And also, if I've got a bunch of data, but I'm not sure what that looks like in the real world, we love it when we actually see real life stories that relate to things that are previously just numbers on a page. So the human brain really loves to get left and right brain symmetry. We love to balance things out. So the other one is we love to quantify, and we love to actually have start points and end points. So being able to quantify a starting point and quantify an ending point and see progress. We're addicted to progress. Humans are progress seeking machines. We love to feel that we're making progress with things and to be able to benchmark the progress. So
watch. Yeah, we love it. Yeah.
Yeah, those are very very real reasons why people fill in these scorecards.
So good. So good. So for
and
me,
mind you, it's all the way. It's the full spectrum of society. So we see CEOs filling in scorecards. We see kids filling in scorecards. We see people who are geniuses filling in scorecards, and we see people who are just regular normal people filling in scorecards. So there's no type of person who doesn't fill in scorecards. With different scorecards that I'm seeing, there's really no different in conversion when you go right up to the top level, provided it's aligned to what someone wants. So a CEO will fill in a scorecard. Let's say a CEO is struggling with change management or culture, developing a high performance culture. Is your organization developing a high performance culture? Take the scorecard. A CEO will fill that in if that's something that they're struggling with, provided they respect the person who sent it through to them. So if they think that this is this person, they've been reading a book by seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and then Franklin Covey says take this scorecard to see whether you're implementing the 7 habits, they'll do it.
They absolutely will. And we're going to use it with our existing customers as well, right? So get our existing customers to do a different scorecard about where they're at, and then it'll show us where people need help, where they need support, and ultimately where they'll buy more things from us.
Yeah. If you have a existing database, let's say you got 3,000 or 4,000 people on database, creating a scorecard for your existing database, nothing reactivates a database like a scorecard. It really just gets that database to re-engage, and it tells you who's re-engaging.
Really interesting. Yeah. I think there's just so many applications for it, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I can't find I've never found anybody that I think it wouldn't work for. Like just generating leads, but pre-qualifying, qualifying them, follow up, internal stuff, external, like you say, corporates, new starters, B2C.
Yeah. Corporates, especially if you sell to corporates, the problem with corporates is they have to socialize all their decision making. So it's very rare that a corporate can simply just say, yeah, I'm making a 50 grand decision without talking to anybody else in the organization. So when you get them to fill in scorecards, they have an easy time showing that that they should do the work, because there's the data is there to back up the decision. So one of the things that if you sell to corporate, one of the first pieces of work you want to do is say, let's do an analysis, get 30 of your team to fill in the scorecard. I'll bring you back the data and we'll see whether this is a good idea or not. And oh my goodness, corporate is that is music to the corporate's ears, because they can then socialize the decision and show the data, and they're makes their life so much easier.
Oh, you can get them to identify their needs.
Yeah.
It's like, do you need this training or not? Go and find out and come back to me.
It's the most powerful sales meeting, because you can just say, look, I don't know if your organization needs this or not. Let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out. And it's free, right? It's free for them to do. It's very low friction for them, because they just need to send the link out. You can make it bespoke for them. Oh, we could do all of this. Make it bespoke for them, make it really relevant for them, relate it to their company. You could send them. They just need to send that link out on one email to a department. Very low friction. We can get all the data back and then present them with a report that says, this is the weak areas, and this is where we can help you.
That is exactly what you can do. And I've seen people win two to 300,000 pound pieces of work off the back of it.
Because nobody does it. Although you've sold thousands and thousands of scorecards via ScoreApp, right? It's still a tiny percentage of the market. Most people don't approach it like that, do they? Which gives you a massive competitive advantage.
Well, keep this in mind. We have 1,600 clients right now. That's it, right? So there's 1,600 people using scorecard technology, ScoreApp. That's it at the moment. We're only 1 year in. So if you think about podcasts, there's 2 million businesses with a podcast. There's millions of businesses with a YouTube channel. Millions of people have got a book, but hardly anyone is doing bespoke scorecards.
Oh, like you say, every single author should have one at the back of their book.
Yeah, every podcaster should have one off the back of the podcast. So you listen to the podcast. At the end of the podcast, it says you probably want to do something right now. Go to the scorecard, test whether your relationship is bulletproof, test whether your diet is on track.
Because that's always not been the problem, but when people read a book or they listen to a podcast, it's getting them to take that next step, isn't it? To engage in a two-way thing, like you say, rather than just passively engaging. And it's just that it's an extension on, you'd say at the back, go and find the resources on the website, and then you'd have to go and
I'm going to say, if you do a book, put it as chapter 1. So at the end of chapter 1 or at the beginning of the book, very beginning, have a page that says, in order to get the most out of this book, start by taking the scorecard. Because that's the point where most people drop off after chapter 1 or chapter 2. So have it literally right at the end of chapter 1. To get the most out of this book, take this scorecard, because that's the call to action. Same as a podcast. Do the first 5 minutes of the podcast and then say, if you want an action step, take the scorecard. Here's the link. And just sort of like in the first 5 minutes today, we're going to be talking about diet and exercise. We really think you'll get the most out of this if you pause right now and take the diet and exercise scorecard so that you can start customizing what we're talking about to your needs. And that is super powerful.
So powerful. Oh my goodness. Where are you taking this then, Daniel? Because this is going to be huge. I'm really excited to be in on it in the first 1,600 people, to be honest. I feel quite smug about that. So
So my lifelong passion is helping entrepreneurs and developing entrepreneurs who stand out, scale up, and make a big impact through small business. I love, I've dedicated my whole last 20 years to supporting entrepreneurial growth. In 2007, I was giving seminars and talks on how you've got to become a media business. I was just saying, you must think of yourself as a media business. Now, that was actually pretty radical in 2007. I was saying, even a hair salon has to think like a media business. You got to publish stories. You got to have photos. You got to have before and afters. Get that stuff on social media. And everyone was like, oh yeah, Dan, okay, I've got to be a media business. That sounds so ridiculous. And I was talking about this like for 3 years of just think like a media business. You've got to be doing that. And then social media has obviously exploded through the 2010s, and all through the 2010s, every single business on the planet has had to become a media business. And then I started talking about it in 2019. You've got to become a data business, right? You've got to collect more data. How did they win Brexit and Trump? They collected data and they targeted certain individuals, and they used data to figure out who would respond to each individual message. And I saw that happening and I went, that's the future. It's no longer, media is now saturated. It's so hard to get the organic reach that you used to get on social media. Everyone's doing it. But data business, you've got to think like a data business. Now, everyone's going to go, oh, yeah, sure, Dan, you've got to think like a data business. You watch, by the end of the 2020s, every single business will be thinking like a data business. They'll be doing hyper-targeted marketing. They'll be collecting information about customers, having unique conversations with each individual based upon data. So where's this going? Every single business has to become a data business.
This is so good. I could talk to you all night, but I'm not going to. So I can't believe anybody watching this doesn't know who you are and where to find you. But where would you recommend people start on their Daniel Priestley journey?
Well, if they want to start with the books, two of my books are for free on the website. dent.global/resources has my books for free. You just literally download them and you can have a read. Key Person of Influence, 24 Assets, with the Key Person of Influence scorecard and the 24 Asset scorecard. But the reason I give my books away for free is because people end up filling in the scorecards and we end up talking to them and having a good conversation. So those are available for free. If they want to start checking out ScoreApp, there's a link in the chat with ScoreApp. You can go there. Based on that link, you get a free 30-day trial. and you just check it out. You use it. When you use it, you basically start with a template so that all the work is already done. Change the branding to your branding, change the call to action to your call to action, spend 1 hour doing customization, and then launch it. Like, get it out there, see what happens, and follow up with the people who fill in the scorecard. And then the other thing you can do is there are some blogs and articles and learning resources on the ScoreApp website. There's one 3,000 word blog that is all about how to like go through piece by piece by piece, step by step. So go through and have a look at that if you want to. If you want to kind of refine your scorecard, make it more effective, you can join our Facebook group, and you can see, you know, just have that discussion with everyone about how to improve your scorecard marketing. But go into this with the mindset that this is going to be part of your marketing in a, you know, for the next decade. It's going to be a 10-year thing, and you're going to get better and better and better at collecting that data, using the data, having a custom journey that people go on, and it'll become the backbone of your scaling for the next 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, I like to think that I have got a good eye for things, and the more I look at it, the better it becomes. And there'll be a lot of players trying to enter the market, I would have thought, but I think for me, it has to become the cornerstone of everything that you do across all areas of your business and your lead gen. And it's just really great for me to be able to recommend something that is so well put together and so thought out, like in the bigger picture. You know, it's not just a tool, it's a complete lead gen system, conversion system. And I feel like the more you develop it and the more you see different applications of it, even the more sophisticated it's going to get. And for me, I know you do loads of great webinars and training, don't you, on it as well, so people can go along and however you want to fit that information. You provide everything that anyone could ever need to make their scorecard great and work really well.
We do. We really, really love seeing people get it. There's a light bulb moment that people have where they go, "Oh my goodness, this is like going to change my whole life."
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, it will.
It will, absolutely will, completely transform it. I'm going to bang on about it forevermore because I just think but the more I learn about it and the more we test things and more we tweak things, the more I can help, obviously, my audience with that. But yeah, don't be scared of it. Go and check it out. Get something out there. Progress over perfection. You might tweak it and mess with it for the rest of your life. So just get something out there, get it done, get testing it, get people looking at it. And we'll be talking about this a little bit more in the future, of course, and everything I learn, I'll be referring it and relaying it all back to you guys so that we can embed it into all our businesses, whether you're just brand new starting out, whether you've been smashing it online for ages. Honestly, if you've got an audience, if you're like me and you've got thousands of email subscribers, thousands of LinkedIn followers, thousands of Facebook group people, it's like, oh, this is going to be fantastic because now I can have a two-way conversation with everybody who wants to have that conversation with me. And I think that's very different, like you say, from the broadcast media kind of thinking that we've been in of like, yeah, I keep showing up and I keep doing my work. And yes, some people will buy if they're ready, but it's like, how can we have these conversations without, speaking to every single person, which wouldn't be possible, with 100,000 people. But to do it this way is going to really help me refine my business as I move into, the next few years. My business is 5 years old now. So I'm kind of like at that stage where I'm like, I've done a lot of the things and I've done some big, showy, glamorous, launches and all that. And now I really want a really simple, streamlined, structured life that's predictable, profitable, enjoyable, that the whole team can get behind. And yeah, everything. Honestly, if I had a pound for every time I said Scorecard or ScoreApp, I'd be retiring. But our whole team are into it. Paul Green, who's in charge of our sales, is just blown away by it, and he's loving it, and he's telling everyone about it.
Salespeople love this. It takes a 60-minute sales call and turns it into a 30-minute sales call.
Yeah, and you're only getting on calls with people that you want to be on a call with and that they want to be on a call with you. So it's very different. It's different energy. These people are already a yes. We just need to decide what's best for them, and they'll tell us what they need. So it just solves so many problems. I'm going to tell my dad about it because he's in his 70s, but he's been in sales for years, and I'm sure he would have loved this, in his day.
Totally.
Yeah. It's amazing. Thank you so much for giving me your time tonight, Daniel. I really appreciate it. Everyone go and check out ScoreApp. You're going to love it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Daniel.